All right. I think I clicked the button. Stefan, can you do a quick little mic check? I just want to see the little green bar. No, I don't have a single. I thought I was seeing that green bar earlier. Well, hello everyone. Give me a moment while I try to figure out why I can't hear Stefan. It says, yeah. Let me change it to this. All right. Can you tap your mic again? Hey, I think we have stuff there. Well, hello everyone. I don't have chat open. I don't have anything open because I was doing and well, Farron in the chat. Hello. Can you thumbs up if you can hear both of us while we get into this? Yeah.
Yeah, there is an app like Duolingo that is kind of like for sign language. My partner's been doing it for fun.
When I was so one of my uncles on my mom's side was became deaf when he was a child, and so he's basically been deaf his whole life. And as a kid, I felt really sad that most of his family didn't try to learn sign language, and so he would come to family functions and things, and the few that knew enough were able to like at least sign letters and talk that way or use writing and whatnot. And so I made a commitment as a kid. I'm gonna learn ASL, and obviously I'm old, so this was before the internet, and so I had to buy a book, and it learning ASL out of a book was incredibly hard for me. I never got it, but I remember distinctly going to a family function after I'd learned just enough to like say things. I don't think I could have understood a word he said back to me, as it were. Um, but just the way that his whole life lit up in that moment of just saying, "Hey, how are you? Merry Christmas," trying to learn ASL, and um, so we hung out for the rest of the day, and we mostly wrote back and forth because I was terrible at sign language, but it was so much fun, and unfortunately, I dropped it like a bad ADHD habit, and haven't done it since. But if there's an app for that, I would totally do that.
Yeah, gotta find that.
Well, hello everyone. Happy today, which is not a special day at all. It's only April Fools, and funny. This has got to be a joke. I literally, as I said that, I just got an email alert from Atlassian saying that they're having a price increase. They're like, today is not the day to send out a notice like that. Um, and yeah, so it is April Fool's Day. Unfortunately, maybe fortunately, us here at LaunchBox, we did not prepare any fun April Fool's activities this year. Though I'm kind of curious, without teasing it, if anyone remembers what we did a year ago today. It was around funny left the time that I started working with LaunchBox, and we did an April Fool's joke that even after reviewing it again this morning, I still think it was really really well done. So good job, Farron and ETA Prime for that, which is a big hint as to what we put together. Um, but it's still a joy, and I still think we could probably do that for real, and it was a big one. But if you happen to remember what it was, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, we may. I don't know how well it'll show over stream, but maybe we'll load that up later and just enjoy that because it was a good time. But today, April Fool's 2025, another dev tech stream. And as you can tell, I brought in a guest, Scarmy, uh, from the great state of Winnipeg. And
No state,
he,
not a state.
I know, but not yet. We're
No,
trying.
never.
uh, I'll avoid politics on the call, but it's hard. Um, and we're going to be doing something a little different this time. I know I flip around on these calls a lot, but it's been a couple of weeks, so appreciate everyone uh, not yelling at me for missing last week. Sometimes work outside of work gets busy, and sometimes life gets busy, and sometimes you're just not feeling it. And last Tuesday was one of those not feeling it days. Like I could have done a stream, but I would have hated it. I just needed to not talk to people. for that day. Um, and so I appreciate the patience, but we're back this week, and we're going to go through some new things that I think will be really exciting, and set us up for some things that we're hoping to do in the future. But welcome. Um, as we usually do, I can do a quick little round of updates. Well, the big update, and I know that Farron will be going through this probably in a little bit more detail on Thursday, so stay tuned for that. But the Windows, we have semi-officially uh, moved on from VLC. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means from the technology side in a bit. This was it was really painful, not because the work itself wasn't fun. It was work that we had to do because of things that we really didn't have a lot of control over, and it was a lot of work to effectively end up where we started. But VLC is a big thing, but there's a lot of other things happening in the Windows release. It's internally we're referring to it as our content creator update. And if we had actual ways of doing code names for releases publicly, we probably would still call it this. But there's going to be a lot of cool things with respect to this. Mostly enhancing, I guess, the concepts behind like the theme manager to pull down more and different assets so that you can yet further customize your LaunchBox and Big Box experience, from controllers and I'm drawing a blank, but controller imagery and media packs associated with the different views and things that you can load in LaunchBox and Big Box, and it's all non-destructive so that you can flip between these things. I know, like right now, you can go to the forums and find some nice packs and download them and put them in the right folder, and LaunchBox will listen to that. This just makes all of that a little bit easier. So if you happen to be a content creator, a graphic artist of some variety, and have either pulled together these packs or are interested in doing it, there is a way to submit your own packs for inclusion in this. And if that's of interest, we could probably even get those in place ahead of the release so everyone can see those on day one. I think some of this is in beta or will be in beta soon, so do check that out. Android continues to be a struggle fest with Google's scope storage, but I think we're largely through a lot of those issues and should be coming out with an update at some point. There's a little to do on my list with respect to some packaging stuff that we're running into issues with, but that should be hopefully a pretty minor thing. Well, since I have you, Stefan, what's new with the games DB?
We did fix some issues. What was it? There was the image. I think it was image deleting issue. If it didn't have region, I should probably load up the task thing, and I can see what I did.
So I have known Mr. Scarmy since he was a child, I think. It feels like I've known him for a long time, and the one of the things that I know about him is his memory is insufficient. Like, do you remember this? No. Like, how? It was like this morning.
Too many other things to remember. Just
He's a defrag or
garbage
something.
collection is very aggressive. I mean, it's just for admins really, where we can clear the Steam ID. There's some little things like the text area grows as you type. I think Brian showed off some of the stuff.
Awesome.
Because there's a kind of a bunch of little things, and then I've been playing around with the, not the games DB. So
I'm gonna try to rate your brain here.
That's mostly everything I can remember. If I'm forgetting something, Brian, you can let me know. Is there anything large? That's all I have in the task list in terms of the things I've checked off recently.
Awesome.
I'm still working on other little things, but yeah.
Cool. So hopefully people are enjoying those. We have had enough time, I think, since the new game detail page has been out that by and large the feedback has been really positive. So kudos to that as one of your first deliverables here. For those new, Skarmy here is a relatively new person here working on the team, primarily focused on web related talents. And so he brings to the table tons of .NET experience and lots of different flavors of web development, mostly these days on Vue.js and Nuxt, because that's what we have decided to use on this team and other projects that I've worked on with Stefan in the past have been that kind of stack. It's a really fun stack for me because it makes sense. I don't like to do web development, which is why ultimately I have people like Stefan around to do those sorts of things. But Vue, of all of the frameworks, React and Angular included, feel close to the only JavaScript framework that I really ever truly put in my head, which was Knockout. Showing my age a little bit because I don't even think you could find that in the internet anymore. But Vue is kind of a nice Knockout environment, but it's all fancy now with technologies I don't understand. Which
Yeah, that's
awesome. So today, our hope is to jump into some code about our installer, and it's curious that I have a person that can do web coding on a stream about doing installers, because I think we're going to try to do something a little bit different with our installer. And I took some screenshots of our current installer. So for anybody who's gone through the process, you're probably familiar with these things. And we'll go through the code a little bit of what makes this, but it's a traditional installer that does install-y things, and it packages up LaunchBox. It packages up some DirectX updates that we might be getting rid of in our next release because we don't need them anymore. It packages up what else do we like, the .NET runtimes and things like it gets LaunchBox to a point of completion. But if you think about how the LaunchBox installer works, is LaunchBox is 100% a portable app. Oh, they did give us a wizard. This was what, 15 years ago? You remember the little wizard guy? Merlin, the little clippy alternative. We should get that working. LaunchBox. No, there was a wizard guy. There was like a wizard guy. I'm just gonna open up. Oh, browser needs to do an update here. Well, I'm getting distracted. I'm gonna come back to that. But wizard guy. They totally had a wizard guy. I loved him. It was like a little ball bouncy guy. They had a whole bunch of clippy things. I did a fun
dog. There was a wizard.
I did a fun project in high school using this clippy technology. Don't be sorry, Focus. You can't know everything. LaunchBox is a portable app. Like, you can just, if you had LaunchBox running on one computer, just copy and paste the whole folder to a new computer. And assuming you had those different .NET runtimes and stuff in place, it would just work. Like, there's no install really needed for LaunchBox. And so our installer, all it does is unzips basically the portable app and installs various runtimes like the the one of many VC++ redistributable thingamajiggers, because I think Microsoft has about 100 of these, and you need all of them for anything to work anymore. So we have that and .NET and various other things, and so the entire LaunchBox installer is basically this. And so I had, because of this VLC conversation, which we'll continue in a second, I thought maybe it's time for us to rethink what we do for our installer. So we'll tangent back to VLC. We upgraded to .NET 9, and .NET 9 apparently does not play well with the way that we were embedding VLC in our application. It's not an overly complicated method of embedding. So there's VLC, which if you go into your LaunchBox folder, the third-party folder, there's some VLC stuff in there. It's just some DLLs and some executables and stuff that we can use. And then in our application, we were using a .NET-based wrapper around this C++ based tool. And then we wrapped that up in kind of a specialized media element of sorts, which lets us use it in our WPF framework. And probably going way too nerdy on this, but the way that WPF works is you can either have normal WPF components, and then whatever magic you need to make that work, or you can host sort of other windows inside of a component. And of all of the VLC wrappers out there, Meta VLC was the only one that did it this way, which we needed, because if we went with this approach, our theme engine would probably suffer, because hosting an HWin doesn't allow you to have as much control over it, because it's effectively like a fake window running on top of another window, and it doesn't honor z-indexing, it doesn't honor animations, it doesn't honor a lot of things that our themes use with our videos. And so we had to do this. Unfortunately, this project hasn't been updated in forever. and we think there's some compatibility issue with how this component was written, and .NET 9 that made it so that VLC on occasion would just freeze the whole application without recovery. There was nothing. It wasn't spinning CPUs. It wasn't thread locked. It was just frozen completely. And so we had to make the tough call of, like, do we spend our time trying to figure out how to fix this? We would be unable to probably get a hold of the author. They haven't touched this in a very long time. I doubt they've thought about VLC code in the 10 years or so that they haven't touched that code, or go down a different path. And so we decided to go down a different path. And on that path, we're going to lean in on Windows Media Player, which is the other option, because that is a lot more stable nowadays. But that comes with the challenge of making sure that we have all the codecs needed, because VLC has just built in, well, it embeds FFmpeg, and so it has all the codecs built in that are ever needed, and Windows Media Player has the 4 that Microsoft think are good, unfortunately. And so that's where we get back to our installer project of, we need to bring along for the ride, and we're leaning in on Klite, the codec package that's been around since before I knew what a computer was, that fixes all of the codec needs that we have, and so we need to bundle that in our installer, which brings us to the topic of what we're going to be going through today. And Focus, you have some updates. You started coding with Basic. I loved Basic. Basic was my first language too. Commodore Basic, very specifically, because that was my first computing device, was a Commodore 64, and it's where I learned how to, like, hack codes and cheat in Monopoly and type things. Had a magazine, Compute magazine, that had code in it. I would type it all in and do things. I love Basic, but I never went to Visual Basic until much later in life.
My first was Java. So
Java,
I started with,
like Oracle Java stuff, Sun Java, I guess, by the time.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of it? Like, could you write it again?
Probably. I mean, it's pretty similar to C sharp, to be honest. Just got some weird syntax, like a overlay long way to like print out a line and stuff like that.
It is a
Um,
very verbose language, yes.
yeah. And then the stupid Java update stuff.
Making sure
Um,
you have the right JDK and runtime and all that stuff.
yeah. But yeah, it was Java, and then in school, in college, I learned a lot of different languages like VB, C sharp, Ruby. Um, did SQL and stuff like that too. But
So did you lean in on C sharp, or did getting a job make you lean in on C sharp?
yeah. Getting a job actually made leaned in on VB.net because that's what they were running. The first job, but uh, through college, like I did like .net more than Java, and like the stream I took was like the advanced general programming, like application development, and it was all .net.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, and then once I started working for you, I was able to fully go with C sharp, um, and web tech that wasn't old.
I remember coming across this years ago. If you can see my screen, it's somebody recreated the VB6. It's a little newer than what the VB.net stuff, but they recreated the VB6 IDE in a UI language, Avalonia. And it's kind of functional. Like, you can't actually make an app, but I think you can do some things. It's just the people that decide to spend. How do I work? Oh, double click. There we go. So this is super nostalgic for me because even though I didn't learn VB until much later in life, it was probably my first paid job. I was doing it. I I may have misled the interviewer of how much VB I knew um, during the thing, and I ultimately got hired to do VB6 and then subsequently for Visual Basic.net. And I'd never touched the language since QW Basic that I played with in college. But I'm like, how hard could it be? And as it turns out, it wasn't that hard because it's an editor. But this is a web application.
I also gotta love how Windows Forms just never changed. It's pretty much like the newest stuff is still pretty much this.
Yeah, Windows Forms was basically a reimplementation of this in .NET. Um, yeah, Focus. We probably should have like a whole like segment of of emulated IDEs or something where you can just go code like it was 1990 again. You got to use the worst the worst editor. I enjoy all the nostalgia and the retro stuff that we do here with the gaming. But I think I'd hate myself if I tried to code the way that I used to have to code. Like if you had to like downgrade to .NET Framework 1 or VB6 or something, you would just hate yourself. Anyway,
Um,
this is super nostalgic for me. I forgot that I had this.
Josh, I can do it to myself, I think, but are you able to turn up my mic on your side?
Oh,
Apparently, it's a little I'm quieter than you, which I mean it is just normal. I move my
yeah,
mic closer to my mouth, but I can also turn up my own gain if you want.
I can toggle this. I still don't know what those numbers mean. dB, the decibels, but I don't know how like why they're negative. I still don't understand that about the audio.
Yeah,
I,
my
I
old school like sound system when I was a kid, when you turned it up, went negative, and I was very confused as a kid.
Anyhow, this
Um,
is
Let me know
well
if that's
focus.
better.
Yeah, it's louder for me at least. So focus. If you want this, I don't know if I'm allowed to like put stuff in the chat links. I'll probably get banned. That'd be funny. But maybe I can put a link.
assume you. I don't think
Oh,
you can get banned.
I'm a mod, so maybe. Anywho,
Oh,
uh,
you're not as the LaunchBox official.
and it's all open source. Avalone is an interesting technology, and it's something that we explored um, with LaunchBox, but ultimately decided that it wasn't going to do what we need to. As it turns out, these tools made for building enterprise applications don't often really like the way that we want to do themes and other fancy things. And so it's hard to make them all work the way that we want to. WPF was kind of anomalous in that it worked. Avalone would probably work. It just has some unfortunate, like, baked in limitations that made it harder to get going than I think we expected. And it was before I had joined in, but there was a discovery project about using Avalonia, which is kind of neat because you can compile it to web assembly as well. Anywho, let me just close all that. Where was I? Oh yeah, we were talking about our history of computer languages. So I started with Commodore Basic, C64 Basic, and then amusingly, my very next language was Microsoft Visual C++. Very specifically that because I was doing MFC, which was like a conceptually kind of like the .NET framework, a big wrapper around the whole C++ world that made it easier to code in Microsoft's world. I did a lot of Windows programming with MFC, and then I learned just classic C, C++, like Linux-based stuff for college, and then eventually I got a job, and that was the Visual Basic job, and so I learned that. And then I've been kind of stuck in that ecosystem since Visual Basic 6 to VB.NET to C Sharp to .NET to .NET Core to wherever we're at now, with all the web text kind of scattered in there. Focus says we should make our own VLC. Um, so in this path that we're going down, like this is, I think it's a good solution and it will work for what we need. I don't think it's as good as what we could do. We would we are looking at, like, if we need to solve this media problem, right? At the end of the day, it's a media problem. Of we have videos coming from the games DB platform videos, we have videos that come packaged with themes, we have videos that come from Steam and videos that come from Emu movies. We have lots of different video formats. But at the end of the day, it's just, I want to show that video. I don't really care too much about the video, as long as it looks nice and it plays well. And of course, FFmpeg is sort of the answer that the world has decided is how one does video transcoding. I think pretty much every single video app out there, YouTube, Netflix, Windows itself in certain places, they all use FFmpeg in some capacity. The trouble that we run into is going to be the same trouble that we ran into this. We need that video to play inside of our application. And the wrappers around all these tools lean in on this style of rendering. I don't know how much you know about how this works, Stefan, but at the end of the day, the VLC wrapper that we have right now is basically running VLC on the side and then copying the whole bitmap that is the frame into LaunchBox every tick of the video animation. And that allows the WPF component to be completely native WPF by all accounts. Whereas all these other wrappers, they just like, it's not my problem. Please direct show or VLC code or FFmpeg. Please render your stuff right here. Just do your work. And so it's faster and it's more memory efficient, but it doesn't play well with WPF. And so the long-term solution is to lean in on FFmpeg and hopefully use a different concept for video playing, perhaps like a Chromium wrapper or something, which is kind of what we're going to be looking into today. All right, well, without further ado, let's get into the installer. So this is the existing installer. It is using a software product called Inno INNO setup. And if I open up the right project here, I can show people what it kind of looks like. I know I installed this thing. Where did it go? Sometimes Windows search doesn't find.
Sometimes Windows search is terrible now.
I think it was last good in Vista.
Windows. I was
When
thinking 7.
7 was good. I remember Vista being like eye-openingly good compared to what we had in the past. All right,
Yeah, I
so
mean, because I think it was the first time it was good.
all right, I closed all my browsers. All right, so this is Inno setup, and this is our LaunchBox installer as it is right now, and it's excuse me, it's pretty straightforward. If you know what you're looking for, we embed a whole bunch of crap, and we have some embedded languages, and we tell it like how to look and what text to show up, and we run like this DirectX installer, and we do some stuff. It's kind of like a programming languagey thing. I'm not sure what language it is, but it's a language, and so you can check like registry settings, whatever. It's a traditional installer that people often use, and it does all the things that installers should do. It registers itself in add remove programs. It whatever, it does all that stuff. As we talked about before, like I don't think we need 99% of this, and because it's kind of this sort of weird programming language, all setup programs end up looking like this. And so I want to do something a little different where we make it a little bit more visual. And so the goal to work on today is ultimately let's create some installer work that can be very visually beautiful while doing what it needs to, which is installing these runtimes, all for the goal of let's also include Klite. And so instead of just going back to this Inno setup thing and probably adding some logic in here to ask the user, do you want to install Klite and blah, 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 and using this, I thought it'd be a worthwhile experiment to see how hard would it be to just not have to do that and do it in code that we own. And then we can get rid of this setup tool altogether. LaunchBox will be truly portable, and we'll be able to make the installer a little bit smarter to make sure that all of those little prompts and things that people get when they first like they're missing .NET Core 3 because of the way that we're wrapping up the browser and all those things we can just take care of because it's a little bit of code. And so what we're going to do, let me just close this out. Focus first was MSX Basic and Arabic. I hope you knew that language too, because that'd have been hard, right? that would have been a challenge.
Learning both at the same time.
Learning a spoken language and I guess a written language if it's code, and a computer language at the same time. As a lazy English speaking person, I am super glad that the vast majority of technology documentation and stuff existed in English first, because it makes my life easier. But with Chat, GTP, and all that stuff these days, it's no longer a problem. All right, so I started some code. This was just yesterday, so I haven't done a whole lot. But the idea is, and this is very similar to how we're working on the new Linux build as well, a web-based application that's hosted inside of a native application that has all the permissions and privileges and background and efficiencies that native applications can have with a web app as the front end. And so we did a little bit of work yesterday to kind of get ready for the stream, so it wasn't just all figured out. There is a Windows based application here, and for those who know a WPF, it's very simple, just a window with a web view, which we'll talk about in a second, and then just a little loading animation while the web view spins up. And then there's some code to hook up this web view to load a normal web application just embedded inside of inside the installer itself. That will be the visuals, and magic happens at that point. And so we can write all of the installer code associated with: do I need to install .NET? Do I need to install Klite? Do I need to install whatever? All the different prerequisites that we have right here in a very easy to write C# code, and the UI is a little Vue app that looks nice. I will admit I was inspired by, for those who have the tool, Logitech's G Hub installer. Um, it's just pretty, and I wanted pretty. It's a lot of work for pretty, but I might have the installer still here, and I can show off that a little bit. All right, so this, and I already have it installed because I've been playing with this install. But I'm inspired by this thing. So there's like this really nice looking animation behind the scenes. It's very modern looking, and not that we're going to use their aesthetic. We have our own that we're working towards. But I was inspired by this very simple, easy to make look nice installer that just whatever. This is our goal, to make something that feels as lovely.
I can't hear you anymore. Can Yeah, it's just a sound movie. I don't know if people can hear me or not. Okay, I can hear myself on the stream, so. We were talking about it, yeah, including like a game as if the installer takes a while. I just don't know if if Namco would bite us. Do they still own that patent? Or like playing a game during a loading screen at Namco, Bandai, one of the two. Gosh, did your like headset die or something maybe? Guess the other neat thing with the installer being web-based is that we could probably have a really fancy wizard if we want to, give people more options on how to set up LaunchBox and everything. They still own the patent. Dang it. They, they need to get rid of that because that'd be so much fun for just anything to have. Nope. No? Okay.
It out. How about now? Right, that was weird. Note to future self: don't try to install something that reinstalls a bunch of audio video drivers while you're streaming.
That would do it.
Embarrassing, but is what we do. Anyways, you were doing a good job. Go. I could hear you the whole time, so at least there was that.
Cool.
All
I
right.
mean, I was just vamping.
That's all I do. 24/7. Now I have all these things open that I don't want to open. I don't have video now. Oh, gosh.
Also, I think that
Oh,
the
thanks, Joe.
chat on the live stream is also like off to the side. I mean, if Josh did turn into the Nvidia symbol, like, I mean, his net wealth would increase quite a bit. It's just me. I'll just I'll just try to mouth the words that you speak. There's just an audio lag is all. Try that. Try a video ninja for yourself. Uh, yeah, animes. Oh, Brian said that they lost their mic again.
OB- OBS doesn't want to play nice. All right, so I got that. I'm just gonna go
We need
headless.
technical issues like screen.
Like, I think I need. So you keep talking. I'm gonna figure this out, but I think I got to go to like OBS like studio mode so I can play with another. Because my video is actually coming in on a different scene, and then it's cloned to this one, and so I can't actually touch the settings of it without switching the scene because I don't know how to use OBS.
So because no one else can hear Josh, he just said he can't. He
Oh
doesn't know
no!
how to use OBS, which
Oh,
is fair.
I think they can hear me now. That was fixed.
Oh, I wanted to twist your words.
All right, whatever. I'm just gonna turn the Nvidia logo off. They got enough money. We'll come back to that if I get motivated. All right, so we have this .NET application that's using WebView 2, which is a beautiful technology that Microsoft put together for us that allows us to have a lightweight web wrapper. Um, Very similar in spirit to how like Electron and those sorts of web wrappers work, but it just uses the the browser that's already on the computer instead. Um, and so your things get to be a little bit more lightweight and everything works. So it's a nice little technology, completely usable by all kinds of applications. And uh, and we're going to use it here because they make it really, really easy to do so. All right. So and that's it, really. And so there's a Vue app, which we'll look at that in a second. So today we're going to work on this app. I'm going to write some C# code. I'm going to talk about it, and um, Stefan is going to work on the front end. I realized my background music was also not playing. I'm just having a fun little stream today. I'm a professional, everyone. Don't try this at home.
Technically professional.
Actually, while you're writing code, I'm just going to play with OBS. Are you in a position to share your screen to give me time to do that?
Yeah, some things I can show.
Okay. Well, I'm going to turn on your screen, and you can fix your. Okay, I think we're looking at
This is
your.
just an excuse for Josh to be a VTuber, yeah. So yeah, this is a little .NET app that's running the the View app, I was just playing around with making sure that the calls were going through to the .NET app from the front end, and then also coming back. And yeah, I got the call back from the event listener, which is nice. So it is kind of like very simple. I don't need that open. That was just something I was playing around with. But this is the View app. We have these little shims that Josh set up. I think you mentioned that it was ChatGPT that kind of helped. And it did a good job because it is just really easy. Yeah, we can post the message, and we're just like sending some JSON. So it's just really simple things that we can build a really simple handler. Right now it's just I think some if statements, but we can probably make that a bit more robust. But even for the installer, it's probably not even necessary. But it just takes in an action, so the browse or install, and then we're able to post back. And it is cool to see that the call from the front end goes to the .NET, pops up the OS stuff, selecting a folder. So selecting a different folder should come back with that, which is great.
And so yeah, like visually, we're still working on the designs behind the scenes, and so this aesthetic was stolen a little bit from the SSO work that we did a number of streams ago. Just sort of copied and pasted what we had in that project over to this one, and I think we're going to maintain the general aesthetic. It'd be lovely if we could get like a really cool like background video playing, but I don't know where to even source one of those right now. Even if you just found like a real simple like star dropping pattern or something, I don't know, just some kind of visual animation. And you'll notice one thing that I had to figure out yesterday. So the app is like draggable, like you can just click and drag the app around, which was fun to figure out. And the way that works, Stefan, if you look in your body tag on your app, I added a little CSS thing right at after the tailwind style. So that thing allows the window to be. It was something they invented for Electron that WebView 2 also supports, but it does it's on the whole body tag right now, which is fine. Yeah. But it does make it so you can't really click on that text box.
Yeah.
And so I think you can
highlight that.
I think you can turn it off like element by element by putting that same style but a different value elsewhere. That was I left that as a to do, just to kind of get it to work.
But yeah, we could probably have like a nice border around it, and it's just like probably just the top area that needs to be draggable. Though, it would solve an issue where like the app goes off the screen and you can't grab the top bar. So there is that. So if I were to just put, and then what options do I have for this? It only knows drag. What options do I have? Oh, it's just no drag. Okay, that makes sense.
I can't even add like my
Hey.
I can't even add a new video capture device to my screen. Just OBS does not think I have a webcam anymore. Thanks G-Hub installer and Josh for clicking that button. All right, I'm just gonna have to go find. Like, you suggested replacing it with like just a picture. So let me see what I got.
Whenever I think of a picture of you, I always think of that one that you had in Slack a long time ago, where it's just.
Yeah, I've never been one to have like overly professional shots. I was just talking about that
like
the other day. I was on like a professional Zoom call, like an actual like business meeting, and I was commenting how just like 5 years ago, I certainly wouldn't be caught wearing like a t-shirt or having like I had a silly background, like a Zoom background or something in the call. Like it was not classically considered professional, but now it's like perfectly acceptable to do all of that. So for all of its faults, COVID did bring some good things, I think, to the professional setting.
Yeah.
Where people are okay with dogs barking and kids crying and all the things that come with streaming and whatnot these days.
Just undo that. I'll just leave it like that for now. Actually curious. Yeah. So at some point I'll just make a little top bar that is just draggable, but for now let's just add this all over the place. Oh, I guess I had my code on the wrong screen. Whoops. I just added it all over the place for now until I make a little top header bar. But yeah, is there anything?
So we'll so visual elements that we need. We need a license agreement, which will link to something. I don't know. It's like right now it's just a giant text box. So I don't know what UI you want to do for that, but similar to like the K-Lite link, but it'll open up something inside of the app as far as our license agreement, because it'll be embedded inside of the tool that they have to confirm. The K-Lite thing is optional, and so we'll probably need some lovely text that we'll probably work off line 4 to describe why we're having that there. They can choose their install location, and we need to make that pass back. And then really just a progress screen where the .NET app can tell you what it's doing and percentages, I guess, and some video playback. I'm sure there's some open public domain video that we can embed for the time being. I'm spending a lot of time trying to find a picture that I think represents myself. It's an important thing.
Yeah.
The little avatar guy that I have in Discord.
It's like the Xbox avatar.
For the Xbox thing, and I can't get like a better one of those because Xbox changed their avatar program to be like you had to recreate your little dude, and even though that picture is still on my account, I can't get a higher resolution version of it, and I can't change it because as soon as I go into the screens to fix my avatar and make it good or to do anything with it, it's like, you need to create a new avatar. I'm like, but no, I don't. I already have one that I like. So the little bitty image that's in Discord is the only copy of that I have.
I guess that, you know what, I could just. I mean, ideally, I want to make this like a layout and have like pages that we go through, but for now, I guess I can.
Speaking of VTuber rigs focus, I watched a behind the scenes where somebody who does one of those sort of animated characters, but it's like a full body version. The harness that they wear to do like motion tracking was incredibly impressive. It was expensive. She said it cost like 10 grand or something to get the whole setup for her. But she has like sleeves and a chest thing and something, obviously with AI tracking her face. But she can just like walk and wave and do all the things that you would normally expect. I expect all that technology to get a lot easier now that AI can interpret image stuff pretty close to real time, just like
Yeah.
arm and whatnot tracking. A little fancier technologies
saw
than
that.
that animes thing that you had showed that one time.
Yeah, I think I've seen that as well, and I know people have also like rigged up like an Xbox Connect, do that some of that stuff because it uses the infrared and tracks your like skeleton. But there's even stuff like with the Vive where you can buy additional trackers so you can put them on your feet and stuff. So I think people have used things like that.
Sure.
Like there's like for a full body one, you put like one on your waist and then one on each foot, and have like full body tracking.
It is high tech.
Okay. So just for now, I'm gonna make just things just hide and show. Just because I don't want to mess with this too much until I make everything nice. So,
All right, I found a little dude. This is definitely me.
this, nice. So you said the like basically a EULA.
Yeah. So like right now it's just
We're gonna pull it in.
a text block. Like I say, if you want to stare at the stream, I can show you that screen again for the current one. I'll turn off your monitor real quick. Okay, so right now they do language. I don't think we're gonna do this. I think the View app could just be smart and do localization like automatically based on the culture of the thing. I haven't seen an installer program ask about language in a long time, but or it could be like a little flag drop down if we really want to support that. We only have like 3 or 4 languages in the installer anyway, but this is the license agreement. Right now it's just a giant text box with a confirmation. I don't think we need to show this. My assumption is, well, I'm sure everyone reads every single word of this. I'm guessing nobody reads any words of this, and so it could be hidden behind a link. And so similar to what you'd see on just any sort of attestation screen at the end of a checkout process, a little checkbox with a link, maybe just a little V modal or something, or whatever, some modal dialogue, I mean, that would just have this text area, just a little pop-up that they could close.
Is it gonna be like the HTML?
This is honestly an RTF file, so we'll convert it to an HTML file. Or it could be Markdown or something, but HTML will be easy enough.
Yeah, because you have extra links in there then. Easy enough.
Yeah, there's nothing more complicated than what you're seeing here, just text with links.
And it's going to be included in the app. It's not going to be hosted.
It'll be inside of the installer. Yeah, it won't be. I think we went, and we talked about this before with just keeping file sizes down, not on the stream, but we talked about it before the call. We could have sort of a smaller webified version of that, but the license thing, it's so small there'd be no value in hosting it elsewhere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess I could work on that. Yeah, 'cause I think it's just an RTF file right now. So this little guy that I have in here was actually commissioned. So I own this. I own the licenses to this thing because somebody offered me a very cheap service after maybe my first stream here at LaunchBox. I'm gonna see if I can load it up. But they made me this. And if anyone remembered the very first stream, I created a plugin for LaunchBox that when you launched an NES game, you had to literally blow into your microphone to get the game to launch. And I just downloaded a GIF animation behind the scenes of just some guy that was on the internet, as it were, that was doing the same thing. And I'm like, well, I can't use that because of copyright and licensing. And so the person offered to me for like $5 to create this. And I'm like, well, if you could make it maybe look like me, maybe I could use it as my avatar. So this was somebody's visual representation of me blowing into an NES cartridge, even though the cartridge looks like a Sega, I guess. I don't know what that is. It doesn't look like an NES cartridge, but it was an attempt. I just never did anything with it. Maybe I could update my official avatar to be this little guy.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some streamers using. I think it's a Discord thing. Can't remember what it's called. But when they talk, like their little image animates a little bit.
Sure.
So you could have whenever you're talking it blowing air.
All right. So I'm gonna go find that RTF file and see if I can do something with it. I know I said I was gonna write some C# code, but nothing's more exciting than rich text format documents. All right. Where is this code at? There we go. Alright, so this is our setup project. This is that ISS file that I showed you in that other tool earlier. We have a latex file. I haven't thought about latex. Not that kind of latex, but this kind of latex in a long time. I don't even know what kind of file this is. Well, I know it's a CLS file. This does not look like a latex file. This is XML, Mr. Computer. What is this? Oh, it's part of our code obfuscator thing. Anyways, so I think this is our license. Yeah, we have bullet points. I kind of want to put it into Markdown first and then have Markdown create the HTML for me.
Probably just get ChatGPT to do it.
Probably, actually. I'm not sure I've ever read this thing. Could probably fix Jason's email address. I doubt he wants to be. I don't think anybody's ever actually contacted us for that, though. For all of you commercial vendors out there, if you need to get a hold of us to use LaunchBox, the free edition, in your commercial establishment, be sure to reach out to Jason at unbrokensoftware.com. So that would mean that Jason's email address is just sitting on hundreds of thousands of computers. I bet he gets a lot of spam.
Probably.
He has purposefully distributed his email address to everywhere. Let's try the chat thing. Let's see how good it is. Alright, so I did download the official ChatGPT app. I think it's just a web wrapper like what we're working on right now, because I think everything is these days. Alright, convert this into a markdown document. Oh, I wonder if I can just upload the RTF file. It's getting better at handling files. Give that a go. Maintaining formatting, links, etc. So who in the chat uses chat more than they thought they would? It might be an everyday thing for me now, in some capacity. Like even something as lazy as, like, I have a recipe that I want to make and I want to modify it for 4 people instead of 3 people or something. You can just take a picture of it with your phone and say, make this for 4 people, and it fixes it. And the OCR, I don't know how they got the OCR so much better than they used to, but...
Yeah.
Alright, I see that you converted it, but... Oh, it's still working on it. I don't even know. It's
I need to get in the habit of, like, don't give me an explanation, just do it.
Yeah, I need to work on my, like, pre-prompt stuff. I think it rewrote it.
That's fair, focus board. It's really nice for just, like, boilerplate stuff, and, like, doing something like this where you could hopefully just get it to convert something for you.
Obsidian might actually do a better job. Oh geez, not that.
It's also really good at parsing data. You give it, like, I've given it like a, what was it? Just a bunch of line, like a CSV file, and then I got it to turn into a JSON for me. Stuff like that. Stuff that you'd have to build a little script for, or find a little tool to do for you. ChatGPT can just do it for you.
So Obsidian
just adds the Swiss Army knife.
Obsidian did a much better job. So we're gonna go with you. Oh, maybe that's a huge indent. It's a start. We'll just make it work and fix it in the HTML. So I think export to PDF. That's not what I want. This isn't exciting. I'll work on this later. All right, back to this. So what do I need to do? So you're working on. Did you get the browse button to hook up?
Yeah.
Awesome. It just worked once you handled the
message.
message.
I just added the event listener for the message, and yeah, just have access to the response.
Cool.
So right now I'm just kind of moving some code into components. So
okay, awesome.
Right now I'm just gonna do the simple show and hide. I'm gonna put some lorem ipsum into a big scrollable thing for a EULA, and then I'll find a progress bar thing.
Awesome. Well, I wrote this when we first started talking about using Klite. It's a little PowerShell script that does a variety of things. And I think I had like some registry checks and things in here that I'm going to steal. But if you ran this PowerShell script, it would install Klite for you from their website. Or not from their website, but through WinGet. So I need to bring this little guy out. Oh, and want that too. I'll take all that. So yeah, I use it, the AI stuff, I probably use it more than I should. I always used to make fun of people who needed to have like a GPS device on their car, because I'm like, you know, if you just spent the little bit of brain power to remember that, then you can just drive instinctively and you don't need to do that. And I feel like I'm making the same mistake from those people did with the GPS, because nobody knows how to get anywhere anymore because they have their GPS on all the time. And if I drive with those folks and they have to program it, like we're literally going down the street, you probably figure out how to get there. I kind of do that with the AI stuff, just every little thing. Like I think of, can I use this to make my job a little bit faster? And it's really good at the code stuff, surprisingly good. Like for example, I just copied these methods out from my little PowerShell script, and I can just say, can you I hit enter instead, so don't do that. I don't want you to do that. Convert this to C# methods using .NET 9. And it's surprisingly good at this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I do agree though that for the artist scene, that AI is pretty, more sinister and destructive. I feel for anyone in the creative industry.
Oh, you're not cool with the whole world getting giblified in like one day?
Yeah. There's like potential stuff that it can do that, I mean, some people have talked about, you know, like the whole stuff with the printing press and how that was scary at the time too, and I guess I can see that. Though I don't think it was like some of the stuff that AI, like the image generation and how it can like clone voices and stuff like that, I don't see any upside to that. Only sinister things, and I don't know if the printing press was created only for sinister things, but
propaganda.
Maybe for the Catholic Church it was, but
I need to fix my things. I've gone all in on these new simplified C# classes that you get rid of all the stuff, as few of parentheses as possible. I like the whole minified world that we live in now.
oh, I didn't know you could do that.
It's so much nicer because because even though our monitors are really wide, less so than tall, just having everything 4 spaces to the left is nice. Like it helps my brain quite a bit. All right. What do I need for this? System management. I was telling you about this, Stefan, earlier, but the one thing I'm not super happy with this this thing. So my thought was Visual Studio, or sorry, .NET has an ability when you publish something. Like you have a lot of choices with doing it, and I can set it, be like, I know that I'm targeting .NET on Windows. I would like it to be self-contained because it's an installer. It can't have any prerequisites. And as soon as I do that, I would like it to be targeting x64 because that's the only bit size that we support, and make it a single file. And I did that just with this minimal little wrapper that we have, and unfortunately the file size release was a little bigger than I was expecting, and so I may spend some more time on it. But so this is the installer without any of the stuff that it needs to install, 160 megs, which just it's and space is cheap and every bandwidth is cheap these days, but I was honestly expecting that to be closer to like 50. And so I do have to think about that some more, of do I want the installer itself to have 160 meg overhead before we even include any of the things that we need to install? What is our current installers right now? If I go back to, I probably have one in one of my update folders. LaunchBox updates. So our 13.21 beta is this big. But it also includes like a lot of things.
Yeah, but like,
do I have any tools that can let me see what's inside those files? I thought I could just use
.peak or something.
Yeah, they're not done. So the difference is these are made via that ISS tool.
No, I do need to use a
but it might tell me the,
because there's resources.
yeah, I was expecting to see more here. And with other installers, I can open it up in like even just 7-zip, because 7-zip can open anything, but not these. Whatever. So it's a bunch of LaunchBox, and it's the games DB database that we ship with, and it adds up. And so I don't think this is all LaunchBox, but it's probably 300 of it is, which means our installers would be 400 some megs to be a completely offline version. Whatever, I might play more with that. There might be some tweaks we can do.
I mean, that's not that much more, to be fair. But
yeah, Joe, I'm a little spoiled. I turned them on and gave them a couple of bucks, and so I largely don't have to think about it. But I also consider it like an investment to figure out how to be more efficient at what we do. And so it's a little bit of experimentation just to see like what sticks. And so I do turn things on for a month and play around with them. And if you're doing this professionally, if you're making money coding, I would say the $20 is worth it. I don't know about you, Stefan. If you were a freelancer and you had to pay for your own license, if you would with ChatGPT Pro or something, or Copilot Pro or whatever their paid version is called.
yeah, I think just in terms of like manipulating data and files, it saves a ton of time in itself. Because I remember before, like, it probably wasn't even ideal at the time, but like if I had like a bunch of lines of something, sometimes I'd just like pop it in Excel and then like and then copy out of that. But I'm still like, I haven't gotten to the point where I ask it things like how to do something as much. Sometimes I will, but for the most part I still Google that and find the documentation. So there's still like some workflow changes I can do. Probably just also coming from being the before times.
The before times. Kids, back when I was young, I had to write code myself.
We had to search through documentation and learn how to do things instead of just asking something to do it for us. Yeah.
Oh, I remember buying like programming books and doing a lot that way. And I miss some of those books because, I don't know, and chat maybe addresses this a little bit, but the trouble with documentation is it's just a dump. And most of the starting guides and tutorials are overly simplistic or not the thing that you're doing. I don't know. So I'm just confirming.
We had to code both ways in the snow.
Alright, so this... Hey, Kayla uses Inno setup as well. think if I use this key, I will know that Klite is installed. Just which value should I look for? I don't think it matters. I just want to know that it's installed. I don't care which version it's installed or which pack or anything. I just want to know it's here. And so maybe it's good enough that this package exists, or this key exists at all. Which is a different than I'm doing right now, but this was the official recommendation by the Klite team. I don't know if I mentioned it to Stefan, but so Klite, the group behind Klite, lovely group. They've been working really hard for, it feels like forever, on that package. They have a very simple ask of the world that they have some oversight over distribution, which makes sense. And so in their license agreement, they ask that you ask for permission before you bundle their installer in with yours. And so the only acceptable ways of getting Klite are their approved partner installers, their own installer, and package managers like Winget or whatever Chocolatey or whatever one you use. And so I just at a whim sent them an email saying, hey, can I be one of those approved vendors? Not expecting a response because like it's an open source volunteer run project that I'm sure they get lots of emails, and like it's worth a shot. I wasn't expecting anybody to be super responsive, but like within a couple of days somebody responded and asked some questions and said, hey, if you can follow these particular rules, then yeah, go for it. And so we get to do it. And so we're going to be embedding this very, very tiny version of Klite. It's like 20 megs all in, with our installer, and so we can have a completely offline mode. And I have an email to prove that it's okay. Their only asks were we provide attribution, of course, which we wouldn't think of doing anything otherwise, and that we give people a choice. I admittedly wasn't thinking of giving people a choice originally because, like, it's Klite. How bad could it be? But I'm good with that. But that's why I went on that screen, just a little bit of a visual, whatchamacallit, an explanation as to why we need it. So leave room for some subtext.
That makes sense.
For that. I promised Joe when we next week I'm gonna get back to the plugin work. I do want to keep working on that storefront stuff that we started a couple weeks ago. I did make some progress in the meantime, but this is kind of time sensitive because we need to get this figured out in some capacity for our next release because of the whole VLC debacle.
That's interesting. My cat is wanting attention.
Which one is
Can
that?
you hear that?
I
That's
can-
Ruby.
So I cannot.
Our 7-year-old cat.
Oh, very, very mixed tuxedo.
Mm-hmm. Both of our cats pretty much look identical, other than one smaller and has the coloring is just like slightly different. The pattern is slightly different. Yesterday they got closer together and Ruby didn't hiss or swat, which was good. So more progress is being made.
Nice.
We also recently got Ruby a one of those microchip feeders, so it only opens for her because the kitten wants to eat the adult food, and we don't want her eating adult food yet.
I am not sure I was
And
familiar
also,
with such a technology.
yeah, admittedly, I probably splurged on the more expensive one. It was like 260 Canadian. There is a cheaper one, but I didn't want to have one that breaks down or had issues. But it can read a microchip, or it also comes with a little collar tag that has RFID in it.
Huh.
And that just opens a little plastic cover when that cat that's supposed to be there eats from it. You can also have like multiple cats eat from the same one, do different things. But yeah, it's cool.
The more you know. I did not know that, because we have a 2-cat situation. One of them is very, very old, and withering away slowly over time. I think she's getting close to her end, and she's very picky about her food, and needs to be fed. Like, you can't just leave food out. Like, she won't even go look. She just assumes, over years of distrust of us, that there's not going to be food there, regardless of the presence of food. And you have to go with her to see, like, hey, look, there's food. But she only likes like one particular kind of food sometimes on certain days with the sun in a certain direction, sort of thing. And then our other cat just loves food. Like, is a bit overweight. And she also knows the pattern of Bella, our old cat, goes and asks for food, and so she follows right along and comes with, and, like, feed me too, please. So I don't know if the microchip thing would work because of our very posh cat that can only be fed by hand.
Put a picture of yourself there and
Exactly.
like a shirt or something that smells like you. Yeah, I think it even has like a bunch of other features. I didn't look into it any more than that because that's all we needed it for. But I think it said it so it only opens a certain amount of times or certain
Sure.
times of the day or something. So if you only want them to eat so much, Ruby will eat a tiny bit and then walk away. Just eat whenever she wants. So it works for her. Actually, it seems also because it's covered, it kind of makes the food last longer. Because she eats wet food because she has no teeth.
Sure.
Though we did get some dry food. The kitten, because it's also digestion and stuff, and it's small little pellets, and they both seem to love it. So Ruby will just swallow it.
Joe's got a friend that has a fancy dog door that will open for the dog and not the neighborhood coyote, I'm guessing. Or possum. That's pretty cool. I guess I hadn't even thought about using NFC or whatever technology that is.
Yeah, I think it's just RFID, because the feeder itself has batteries, but it's also smart. I think it also has some sensors, so it knows if something's there. So it is detecting the RFID tag as well as if there's something there. to know if it should close or stay open or whatever.
So in our thing here, somehow I'm gonna have to tell you stuff as part of the initial page load. So I want to tell you what path you should use. I want to tell you whether or not K-Lite even needs to be a choice. Because if K-Lite's already installed, I don't think we want to even have the checkbox there. And
we could also just make it so it's disabled and checked, so it is visually representing that it knows that it's installed already.
Yeah, we could have it there with some message that says already installed or something, yeah. But either way, I still need to communicate to you. And we're not running like a normal web server environment here. All I do is load up a URL and say, please load this HTML page. I could add query strings to that as a cheap little way for you to see it, but I wonder if there's a nicer init method that makes sense. But I don't really have a lot of control because it's just telling Chromium to load a web page. I guess you could be waiting for a message to be broadcast in the same way that the browse button returns or something.
Yeah.
So you would just wait for that post message before you are initialized. That would work. I think I want one of those microchip systems that Joe's talking about for the kids. Because they both have keys, but they both forget to bring their keys. And for as much as some people don't like to use AI, I don't really want an electronic door lock on my on the door. I there's something about that level of trust of like worried that this overly engineered mechanical electronic door lock thing is trustworthy. I just can't bring myself to do it, and so I just want a key. And I know most of those have overrides that are very manual as well, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot of hassle for a door. And I know you're in Canada and you don't have to lock your doors because Al Gore told me you don't have to once. No, Michael Moore told me you didn't have to once. And but here in the States, we have to lock our doors. But it'd be nice to give them whatever, they're kids, and so everything's an app or everything's technology for them. So the electronic door locks make sense. I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, when it comes with like the more complicated, I've used like the number combination ones.
Sure.
You could have ones that you can have like different numbers for different people. So this and that you can understand how it works, and I think it's still made by reputable brands that are pretty secure, whereas the app ones tend to be kind of other brands, whereas like
sure. Okay, so I have a little bit of code that can check a registry key. Yay. So I don't think I need winget anymore, but I'll leave that in there just in case we do at some point. The other thing I noticed, the more I learn about Microsoft's approach to media, in the add remove features thing, the Windows features toggle, on Windows 10 and 11, there is media features, and inside of there is this thing called Windows Media Player Legacy App, because Microsoft loves to name things. And there's like three tiers. There's like three tiers of media player. There's the media player, the one that you would get if you just hit start and whatever, the default Windows media app, which uses, I don't even know what, some manner of technology to load videos. And then there's what I would call the classic Windows Media Player, but it's not that because that's something else. The Windows Media Player Legacy that uses more traditional codecs and things, which is what we're ultimately installing K-Lite for. And then there's the Windows Media Player Classic that ships with K-Lite itself. That's some open source rewrite, I think, of the original media player from like Windows 7 or Vista or something. But if we don't have this guy installed, this optional feature, videos don't play at all. But it's an easy thing to check for. So we could add that to this installer as well. I don't think we need a prompt for it for the user. We could just do this on their behalf because it's just a Windows optional feature. Have you tried any? I think I was eavesdropping on you a little bit. You've been trying some new game that I've never heard of called like Repo or something.
Yeah.
I know nothing about
it's fun.
it.
It's kind of like Lethal Company. If you
Nope.
know anything about that.
I'm ignorant.
Basically, a chaotic, spooky multiplayer game with people where you go in, you try to get stuff, you get out. There's enemies that are trying to kill you. It's all very spooky and kind of janky and goofy. Sorry, I have a cat hair in my mouth. Repo, you're like these trash can robot looking things that talk like Canadians from South Park, where their whole head kind of basically moves.
So
Which is pretty funny because it listens to your mic.
Like a chibi robo. You remember that game?
That sounds familiar, but I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, little trash can robot is what reminded me of it.
You like go and find valuable items, and then you like to hold it. You basically have like a little tractor beam, and you need to move it to into your part or extraction point.
Sure.
And if it hits anything, it loses value. And there's like, there's a little duck enemy that is adorable, and it tries to jump into your view constantly, and if you pick it up, it then transforms into a thing that tries to kill you. Or there's like a hidden enemy that like will pick you up and run away with you. It's like the thing that if you look at it, for too long it'll kill you. I think some enemies, and I know in Lethal Company they do, like if you talk, they actually listen, so they'll hear your voice.
Sure.
So you need to actually be quiet. I think Repo does the same thing. But yeah, it's fun. It's just a thing to goof around with friends.
Nice.
There's a bunch of mods. I played Lethal Company with a bunch of mods. And set up a mod pack for Repo as well. Thunderstorm makes sharing mods really easy. You just give a GUID and someone else can download the same mods. And it adds like a bunch of like more enemies, different items. It can change gameplay mechanics, all that stuff. One of the really popular ones in Lethal Company was one that it would record snippets of you talking, and the enemies would play that to other people. So if you're like, going, hello, is anyone there kind of thing, as you're walking around, it might take that, and if someone else encounters a monster, it can play that, so they think it's you, and then they turn the corner, it's an enemy or something, which is a lot of fun.
Interesting. I assume it sounds like one of those games that's better with friends, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, you can play solo, but I think it is better with friends because it adds to the goofiness, and because like in Repo you can give each other health, you can work together to carry heavier items, you can revive each other by bringing like their head back to the extraction point.
Sure. Huh. I might watch a playthrough or something.
Yeah, if you're ever interested in playing, more than happy. And they're relatively cheap games. I don't even know how much Repo is. When I bought I think when I bought it was like under $10 or something, or around $10.
It's better than most $10 waste of money on mobile these days. I am so sad that mobile games are so successful with all the freemium pay-to-play stuff. It just completely diminishes the value of quote-unquote real games.
Yeah, I never played mobile games all that much, though I have gotten really into Capybara Go for whatever reason. It kind of gives the same
Sure.
immediate and instant feedback, and a looter, something like Diablo, where you're just seeing numbers go up and getting new stuff and
Sure.
becoming stronger constantly. It's kind of that, but with adorable little things.
We did start as a family a Diablo 3. Can't quite convince the kids to go hardcore mode, but we're playing through the story on Diablo 3. Just couch play on the whatever PlayStation it is that plays that thing. I used to play a lot of Diablo back in the day. I feel bad because this ChatGPT auto-generated code just was doing string concatenation to create these JavaScript objects. I'd be I know there's a better way, but can I argue that this works just fine? The desire for slightly cleaner code in favor of quote-unquote the right way to do things. It would be so easy to create a little record object to do this. How easy is it for chat to do it? What'd you end up with? What did you do? I have not played a lot of games in the last little bit. I had mentioned to you that Tectonica game. My daughter found that and started playing it, and so I've been helping play a game, I guess.
Yeah, it looked cool.
What other? My son, he has went. So for Christmas, he got a Steam gift card of some amount, and so it was his first opportunity to just find, buy, and play a game, probably in his life, because I think every moment up until that point it was, hey Dad, can you, or me suggesting a game to him, and so this was all him using his own interests, his own money now, and he chose to get Hearts of Iron 4, which is a war strategy game. You're zoomed out to the map level and you're controlling little units, not the individual soldiers, but units of I don't know what they call them in the game, but groups of soldiers that you can issue commands to. And so it's sort of real time. It's not turn-based like Civ, but it's time. It's things take quote unquote months in game. for troop movements to happen, because it's based around like World War II, I think.
Mm.
And I haven't seen him get like game addicted in a while, and he's just sucked into this, and it's almost an unhealthy amount of game. But he's on spring break right now, so it's hard to tell him don't.
Yeah, I definitely did stuff like that. Hell, a lot more time.
All right, Stefan, look at the stream and tell me, even though it doesn't compile. So version 1, version 2. Something like that. This isn't quite right, but this is action, I guess. So just making a thing, and I guess this would be like a K-light value instead, and I don't know how to do a hyphen down here, but same difference. Like this one uses more, it's more work, right? It's converting and serializing versus just string concatenation, but this one just feels better to me. So I'm leaning towards option 2 for how we do things.
Yep. I agree. And then we'll just change the data can come back for different things.
Because in some future world, and especially as we like explore doing these sort of RPC pumps in like home or something, these records could automatically produce the TypeScript interfaces and things too.
Sure.
So that they both share an exact copy of the model. No reason not to.
Guess we've both been also working on this same stuff. I did have to. Oh, no, I just modified the front end. I don't think I modified the back. Because there was just an issue with one thing.
Well, what are you working on?
Just adding more things. So I have a couple steps.
Is it visual? You want to switch over to
install, and it goes over to the
I can switch screens. All right, we're on you now.
Cool. So I added just a header bar so you can drag that, and then nothing else drags. So you can interact with things as you want. And then like hit install, pop up the EULA. Right now I just have that, so I can go back real quick. That's basically what I've done.
Cool.
And then in code, I've just done a really simple thing where I just moved between. This can definitely be improved, but this thing is going to be pretty simple in terms of its UI anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But we could, get fancy with animations and stuff too.
It's gonna be the fanciest installer ever. Logitech's gonna be decompiling our installer to figure out how we did it. Yeah, yeah. First impressions. So everyone's first impression right now is this installer, which it's uneventful because it looks like an installer. And then that little like progress bar startup thing, which I really want to rip out and put something, something pretty. Because the app itself looks great. It's just those two things are your actual first impressions.
Yeah. I'd also, I assume it'd be on the .NET side on the web view to be able to make it so you can resize the window. So right now you don't have an option.
So that is turned off explicitly. And I arbitrarily chose this dimension. I think I'd like to keep it unresizable, and we'll just make it fit exactly. As long as it's small enough to work on small devices, which is why I chose this one, because this is like a 800 by 600, which I think should fit pretty much everywhere. So if you can make it without your scroll bars, we can choose a different dimension too. It doesn't have to be that exact one. That was a little bit arbitrary, admittedly.
Yeah, I'll play around with stuff.
Cool. Have you been making code changes to the back end as well, or is our merge going to be clean?
The only backend changes I did was just I think I just made so that the installed action returns something, and then, but I can just take what you have.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna finish.
I also modified that navigate to be the local host, so I can do the hot reload stuff.
Alright, well, I'm gonna tidy this up, but maybe get this init message to load soon. I need to pass you the K-Lite status and what else would I probably need to print like the version number somewhere on your screen, which I could send to you, like of what's getting installed or whatever, and a path, I guess.
Do we do any checks to see if LaunchBox is already installed with installing?
So our installer is pretty dumb. The current one is even. Installs and updates are the exact same thing. And they just overwrite certain files and leave other files alone. And so all the user settings and all those stuff are not technically part of the install. Those get created in LaunchBox itself. And so the installer just updates all the binaries. We could certainly do something a little different if we detect an existing LaunchBox, but if we are leaning in on the portable copy, install doesn't mean a whole lot. Because like on my computer, I have 7 copies of LaunchBox. And so what does installed mean in that situation? And a lot of people never install LaunchBox, they just copy it from one computer to another. So may not know it. May not know if it's installed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that's good to know or not.
Most updates happen because LaunchBox prompts the user and says, hey, please update. So we could pass in like a command line, something in that call to say, hey, this is which it does already to run it in silent mode. And so we would know that it's being installed on top of an existing thing.
Okay.
So I guess there is that feature where this thing needs to run silently as well, where we just jump straight to the progress bar if appropriate.
Yeah. We have I guess we could share the code to actually do stuff, and I guess you could have just like a little script that just does the install or something, or bypasses all the UI stuff. Has there been any feedback, or has anyone talked about any things that they would like the installer to do?
We did get one asking not to prompt about DirectX every time. Which honestly, I think we're going to fix as part of this, because we don't need to install it anymore. We've chased all the things it's doing, and on all the supported versions of Windows that we have, those things already exist. Need to verify that with the oldest, cleanest copy of Windows we could possibly contrive. But I'm pretty sure that those just ship with Windows, the things that we need specifically, which is, and it's not DirectX proper. It's two things. One is we're using X input for controller navigation in Big Box and LaunchBox. And so we have a tie to X input, and we're using X audio for some noises, maybe the background noises or the navigation noises maybe in Big Box. I can't remember where we're using that, but those are the only two things from DirectX that we directly use. WPF behind the scenes has some hardware acceleration, but I have confidence that Microsoft makes sure that its stuff is there when it for WPF. Oh, and I just got a message from Farron saying that he found confirmation that the tiniest copy of Windows 10 includes DirectX 9.
Okay.
So probably pretty safe there. Which means under normal circumstances, you won't, like for people who are just updating LaunchBox or installing it on a pretty normal computer, you'll get prompted once to install K-Lite, and then after that you'll never get an elevation prompt again because everything else can run unprivileged.
I guess we could always have like a advanced thing to have multiple other things, and we could always, like, we don't want to bundle it like to make the file, the installer bigger. Could always just require the internet to go down with them, or just be like,
yeah, if we find a need for something. I think the big sell for having an offline mode is really because some people, some users are putting this on like an arcade cabinet or something that doesn't have direct internet, and so they just USB copy some stuff between devices. I don't think it's a common thing for computers not to have internet these days. Though we still get the occasional request in the email, somebody asking for the last known copy of LaunchBox that works on Windows 7, which is pretty old by now. Windows 10 is already feeling old from like the release date. Like the last updated copy of Windows 10 was 2022. Maybe some security updates since, but for the most part, not a lot.
Yeah.
And Windows 7
To,
is, I can't even remember how old that is at this point.
I have another, like my PC in my living room that is mostly there for VR and anytime Chromecast doesn't work, which is really often lately. It's still running Windows 10. Probably. Well, I don't. It's an old enough PC where I don't think I have the TPM, so I'd have to use like Rufus or something like that to be able to install Windows 11 on it.
Yeah, it'll be a long while before we have to drop support for Windows 10. Because I think the only reason that we dropped support for Windows 7 was because of the embedded Chromium stopped supporting Windows 7 because Chromium stopped supporting Windows 7 because they couldn't keep it secure or whatever. They decided to stop paying attention to it, and because we used that Chromium embed for storefront integrations and just normal web view stuff, we couldn't keep it working. And .NET itself, so I think our .NET right now is dictating our build because it supports Windows 10 build 2H22 or whatever it's called. So whatever release that is the one that we support.
I fixed the scroll bar thing. Well, on that one. This one is large enough where it needs scrolling. Did you push your changes?
No, I'm.
Oh.
My Visual Studio won't let me create a folder because it says it's already there, but Windows doesn't think the folder's there, and I'm restarting things right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand. Most likely I'm looking in the wrong spot.
You need to do the refresh in the Solution Explorer, or can you navigate to it in the Solution?
Apparently just closing Visual Studio and opening it fixed it, so.
Yeah, it is a Microsoft product.
Have you turned it off and on again?
Were you going to be working out of the main branch, or did you want to make a separate branch?
Oh, you could just work out. I mean, this is a temporary repo anyway. It'll probably get merged into the main LaunchBox project at some point. Watched a really interesting movie. It was on Netflix, I think. It's new. It's got Chris Pratt. Being Chris Pratt, like, he's not a very versatile actor, but it's like a future world where humans have isolated all robots into a little place because at one point humans and robots were fighting, and it was surprisingly well done for a movie with that premise. I really enjoyed it. I need to look up the name of it now. But I would recommend it if you like. If you like movies where the robots are the good guys and the humans are the bad guys.
And my partner and I have been looking for a movie to watch. So yeah.
So it's called The Electric State. And it was enjoyable. So Joe wants to know if our EULA is intentionally hard to read.
Yes. You have to learn Latin, and then you sign your soul to the devil, and then you can install LaunchBox.
I think my favorite Ipsum generator is bacon Ipsum.
Yeah.
And so it just replaces all of the Latin words with meat references. I guess with AI now,
Can I find a vegan Ipsum?
with AI now, you could just have any Ipsum you want, probably.
Not sure, yeah.
Have a Mario Ipsum. I was thinking one point, I don't know if you in the Java edition of Minecraft, you can change your core language to like Klingon and other silly things like that. I thought wouldn't it be fun if LaunchBox had some languages and it could be like Mario-ese as a language, and so instead of like the play button, it just says let's play, and just everything is what Mario would say. But I don't know how Mario would refer to manage emulators.
Yeah, I thought about doing it in like just a bad Italian accent.
Yeah, just just the same words, but it's just somebody with a bad Mario impression just says it out loud. Manage emulators.
There's an idea for an April Fool's thing, just like that, or Canadianize it.
So yeah, don't you know?
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, big dude. I have a suspicion you're a big guy, but you think that LaunchBox and Big Box is the best front end, and I think I'm convinced as well that it's pretty cool. I appreciate that feedback, and welcome to the chat. What do you like about it? Like, what's your favorite thing? Some people really like how easy it is to use, which is mine. Like, if I were to say what I like about it, I like that I'm not the one that wants to tinker with the emulators and stuff. I kind of just want stuff to work. I spend my professional career tinkering, and so I want this one thing to just work. So I like the ease of it. But some people really like how aesthetic you can make it with all the different customizations for themes and imagery and videos and all that stuff. Some people, I call them my OCD collectors. They love making sure that they have exactly 928 SNES games that's 1G 1R and matches up to their ROM manager, DAT files, all that stuff. Like they just love the data curation side of it. What kind of user are you? You're speaking my language, Eddie. That's exactly how I would answer it. Alright, what is the default install location for our current thing? Because I want to send you the path. And I think our default location is just the LaunchBox folder under my username. C users Josh LaunchBox. I guess that makes sense. Now, how in .NET do I get that path? So yeah, the ease. So because you like the ease of use, then you probably appreciate all of the the emulator integration plugin-y things that we have to help set things up. Are there any emulators or any other tools that you use that you would like to get the LaunchBox treatment on that would make it a lot easier? Because I know we don't do them all. We do a good selection of them, but it's not all by any accounts. If Focus is still in the chat, he can tell you what all means, because I think he has all of them. I feel like there's like this environment special folder thing. How do I get a special folder? Get folder path. Oh, we're still sharing your screen. That's fine.
You can share yours. I think yours might be more interesting if you're trying to get that stuff.
Yeah, let me find my OBS. I really do need a command center of monitors. The trouble is, my desk, I have my monitors directly on my desk. I don't have any arms. Because I never really saw the value, because like I don't like them too high. I want them right where they're at. But they're kind of big. I think they're like 32-inch wide, 16:9 screen, 16:9 screens, the two of them side by side, and so it's like 4.5 feet of monitor, and I don't know where I'd put a third monitor. I would hate one being above. That's a common place for people to put another monitor, is above their other monitors. I just don't want to look up. I have enough back and neck issues that I don't think I want to like add that. My headset would fall off. I just tried to look up. You can't tell because my camera sucks because I'm an idiot. But my headset just about fell off when I looked up where a monitor might be.
I mean, I have a monitor arm that's like the monitor's off the desk, so I just have basically as much room horizontally as I can. But also like seeing there's that Asus has that laptop that has like that little screen at an angle at the bottom, so you could have monitor below.
I have looked at those little, like they're really skinny, like they're short but wide, right? Mm-hmm. The Asus ones are just weirdly priced for that size of screen. Yeah. Like the pixel per dollar ratio is is surprisingly high.
Oh, you know what you should do? You should make your desk a TV, or at least a TV, or like a TV or a huge monitor underneath a pane of glass that is your desk, so that your monitor is your desk.
Could do that. I'm still waiting for the day that the movie Minority Report, the technology that they had in there, where like it was like a holographic display in front of you that you could reach out and interact with. I still want that. With, yeah, but go like watch. Go watch Minority Report, and you tell me if anything's even close to the technology that Tom Cruise has got in that movie.
I don't know if we want all the technology from Minority Report.
Yeah, what's a couple of slaves stuck in a bathtub?
Policing your thoughts.
Yeah, and you have to like get eyeball replacements to escape from the law. Yeah, Minority Report was just a really well done episode of Black Mirror, I think. So Eddie says we can stop. We're good. It's done. LaunchBox is done.
Job's done.
Job's done. Oh, yeah, there was a Blizzard reference there. Thank you. Took me a second.
No worries.
I think as far as like little voice acting, Warcraft 3, I think that's from, right? Had the best. I remember like losing a match because I just discovered, because I usually play games without sound. I'm weird like that, but I had the sound up and I realized for the first time that the little dude said something different every time you clicked them. And so I was just seeing what all my guys said, and while I spent the 4 minutes doing that, somebody came in and killed all my guys. So Farron is asking if I want my hands up the whole time. You raise a good point there. I remember like the Wii sort of did that to me. Like look at this new way of gaming, right? It's very interactive. You can swing your arms around, you can pretend to swing a bat, you can do all this motion stuff. And then after you play like Wii Sports for the 17th hour, you're like, I'm just tired. Can I just play this sitting down? Can I just press buttons? Alright, I got distracted. So I was trying to find the path. I think this user profile path is the right one. The user's profile folder. Applications should not create files or folder at this level. So it's telling us explicitly not to do that. They should put their data under locations referred to by application data. It does seem like a reasonable bit of guidance. Because app data is kind of for that. But it's not like an install. Like ours is like a whole install. I'm kind of curious, where does like Discord install itself? It's got to be probably app data. So see users Josh app data, local Discord update. All right, we'll start with that and see what happens. Eddie loves when you add MAME, like all the filters. Yeah. I'll admit the first time I installed MAME and I got to that screen, I'd be like, that's a lot of checkboxes. But you're right. I think we were, in fairness, if you're still listening, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were talking about how it might be possible to have similar sort of filtery things with respect to other ROM sets, not MAME. Of people who like try to just take a no intro set or something and we could help curate that list with data from DAT files and whatnot. MAME is cool. It's probably one of our most well-used features, is our whole MAME stuff between the high scores and the ROM set importer thing and all the things that we do around MAME. It's probably, if we had telemetry data, it's probably one of the most well-used pieces of it. All right, so I'm going to pass you a path. I'm going to pass you whether or not K-Lite is installed. And I guess eventually I'll tell you whether or not it needs to go silent. But we'll start with that.
I guess if it needs to, if it needs to go silent, are we showing the UI at all?
I think a progress bar. Because like the most common use case there is like LaunchBox prompts. Like, hey, there's a new version of LaunchBox. We'd like to install it. And we just say yes, and right now it just shows the install progress bar. It basically jumps to the last step of the wizard. I know, right, Eddie? That would be good. Again, as I was talking about before, I'm one of those lazy users. I just kind of want to get past the organization and get past the setup and just get to like, this is my nicely clean world. And I'm losing that a little bit, Stefan. I made the mistake of, so I used to be very selective about free games, you know, like between what, and maybe not free, but like when Steam occasionally gives away a free game, where you have your humble bundles or Amazon Prime giveaways. I used to be very selective about whether or not I added these things to my libraries, but lately I just add them all. And so now I have a bunch of crap that I'll never play, clogging things up, and I need to do a better job curating that. I wonder if we could put like new games that are discovered into like anything new that shows up just in its own playlist. That it would give me time to go through and decide whether or not I want to keep it. that might be possible already based on dates or something. Alright, so I got this message, I'm posting it, and this should happen right after the page is first loaded. It's hard to test because we're working on the same thing, and yours expects mine to work correctly, and mine expects yours to work correctly. Alright, whatever, I'm just gonna commit the code, and you can deal with it.
Okay.
Changes here. Oops. I don't need that. He added. Oh, that. Okay. Oh gosh. I'm apparently behind. I don't normally use Visual Studio's Git tooling, so I'm not familiar with it. Whatever. I pushed some code. Probably broke everything.
Probably.
Oh, you'll have that little line of code that you changed for your Vite redirector thing. You'll probably lose that.
I'll fix that.
Alright, so now I need to actually install K-Lite when you post back. What would you call a folder that we put all the stuff? It's like like when we build LaunchBox and this K-Lite installer and all the things that we want to install, all the stuff. I could just call it stuff. Assets, resources.
Resources is probably a good one. Or assets, yeah. Though I usually think of assets as
Like images and stuff.
yeah.
Well, that's because you're a web developer. Some of us think of money, but you're Canadian, so.
Yeah, money doesn't exist up here.
Did I hear a rumor that our powers that be were considering joining the Commonwealth?
Yeah, I heard that from, and that seems very not
No, it doesn't seem
along
like
the lines.
a good idea.
seems like he's been wanting to leave everything. But maybe because the word wealth is in there. I don't know.
Yeah. It's almost like watching a TV show some days. All parties included, not just him, just the whole system. Something happened. It's a Truman Show, and somebody's breaking through the outer walls, and the reality of the world is coming. Somebody took the blue pill. I watched that recently too. I had avoided it because I thought it'd be terrible, but they made like that new Matrix movie, and by new I mean it was like a few years ago, but it was many years newer than the original sets of Matrix movies, and I avoided it because like there's no way that Matrix 4 after 15 years is going to be any good at all. And it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was an enjoyable watch at least.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Like if you get it free somewhere and you don't have anything else to do, it's fine.
Okay.
Alright, so I need to have that whole resources folder included as an embedded resource. And if you look at my screen right now, Stefan, you can see how I am embedding the View app. If you didn't see that before, basically I just tell MS Build that everything in the dist folder is worth keeping.
Okay.
And then it just puts it in as a, I think it's binary, so it should be pretty efficient. I don't think it tries to encode anything. I would suspect that my DLL just got a lot bigger, which it did. As expected. Okay. That was not useful. Sometimes you ask AI to do something and it doesn't even come close to thinking the right thing. Like, was it me?
Yeah.
Was it me? I'll ask a different AI. Yeah, I remember. I was gonna load up just to relive the moment. I was gonna load up the YouTube vid from last year,
Okay.
our little our thing, our April Fool's thing from last year. Because I know Farron's in the chat, and he did a good job with this. And ETA Prime, of course. Oh, geez, that's loud. That is loud. Stop.
Didn't come through the stream. But,
It didn't?
nope.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. OBS is just broadcasting my whole audio. Alright. It says it's
Hey,
going through
what's
the
going
stream.
on, everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again with another
I'm
LaunchBox news
not
video.
listening to
Today,
the stream. Never
we're
mind.
proud to announce
I'm just where
LaunchBox
you're
for
going with you, right?
Business. So for the longest time, when it came to LaunchBox and Big Box, we've been really focused on retro gaming.
So as a heads up for those, this is a video that we put together for last April Fool's Day. That was one of my first ideas for the group to do. Like I came and be like, we should do an April Fool's thing, and I was torn because I know that April Fool's things like this are just very cliche and they're usually not funny. And so I had asked Farron, like, hey, can you come up with something? And we came up with this idea for LaunchBox for Business of what would happen if LaunchBox lived in an office environment. And he took the satire of that to an extreme. And we got ETA to do the video for us. So I'm just going to play it. It's only a few minutes. I just think it's worth sharing because it was so well done that I kind of want to just watch it again.
New PC games with recent updates and things like that, but we've kind of left out a major part when it comes to the PC industry, and that's the business side of things. So today, we're releasing LaunchBox and Big Box for Business. We think that this is a revolutionary way to consolidate all of your documents into a beautiful menu system. It's designed to make working in documents easy and fun. So with this setup, as you can see, looks very similar to our regular LaunchBox builds. I will show off Big Box in just a second, but I've set up this demo here just to show you. We've got Computer for Dummies, Guide to Windows 1.0, what are typewriters, how to tell if you're old. By right-clicking any of these documents here in LaunchBox, we can go to Launch With, and we've added some very popular document editors and document viewers here, like AMI Pro. We've got Microsoft Office 2003, 2007, 2013, 2009, Multi-Mate. You can even open this up with Word for Windows or WordPerfect 5.1. Actually makes it really easy to get in here and check out your documents. You can also edit them once we have them opened. And just to give you an idea, Betamax, the future of video, we'll go ahead and click on it. LaunchBox automatically detected that I wanted to open this up with WordPerfect 5.1. And as you can see, there's a new video format incoming from Sony, and we believe it's the next big thing in video consumer technology. Now, if I wanted to edit any of this, we can. We'll just head over here. Just a quick edit here. And I can press F7. We can save the document, or we can leave it just like it is. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now we can exit right back into LaunchBox for Business. So obviously this is a brand new way to kind of go through, organize, view, and edit all of your documents on your PC. Some people may need a little time to get used to this, but it does make it pretty quick and easy once you've got everything set up correctly. And right now what we're viewing is the LaunchBox side of things. We've also integrated Big Box for Business. So from our menu, we're going to go ahead and start up Big Box. And we've specifically designed some really nice themes for the business side in Big Box. As you can see, everything here is functional. We've got 4 to start off with, but we do plan on making more. We'll go ahead and move over to the next theme, Office Cubicle 2. Actually, this is one of my favorites. Everything's right there, easy to see, easy to use. Office Cubicle 3, a little over to the side, but yeah, it does give you that feel of working in an office. And of course, we've got Office Cubicle 4. And this is the one I think a lot of people are going to be using until the community comes out with new Big Box business themes. And if you haven't gathered by now, April Fools. We thought this would be pretty funny to go ahead and launch on April.
So yeah, it got me a few different ways. Like I remember watching that for the first time after it came together and just seeing WordPerfect actually open up and and those themes are like functional. Like Farron actually created functional Big Box themes that looked like that, and so all of that demo was 100% real. We didn't have to do anything to LaunchBox itself really to make all that work. That is something you could do, and I remember like saying to Brian at the time, like, you know, if we do this, people are gonna actually want this because like it's not like a terrible idea. Obviously we played the satire up, and if you look through the comments, a number of people were like, now I kind of actually want this. So again, round of applause to ETA and Farron for the video. And I think he probably still has those themes. If you want a copy of, I don't know which one of these was my favorite. I think this one that was off to the side was maybe my favorite. Whatever. Try to have a little fun as well.
Yeah, it was really good. I showed Megan, and she enjoyed it too.
All right. It's kind of neat, all the different ways that I've seen LaunchBox as a tool get used, beyond obviously what it's advertised to do. It's advertised to manage your game collection, but it's a pretty good database, regardless, for managing any kind of collection. And I've seen D&D asset libraries for game masters, for dungeon masters, and media, so other video libraries, and I think Focus, you embed all your magazines and artwork and things associated with games, of just all the different ways that people have come up with to use the tool. It's one of my favorite things to learn about. So if anybody is using LaunchBox in kind of a unique or slightly obscure way, I love hearing about those things. It gives me a lot of joy. So I do not. Eddie's asking if any of us have light guns. I do not. I think Jason does. Farron, I don't. It may just be Jason. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Does a vibe count?
Yeah. Every time I look at them, and of course, like, I don't know as much about them as other things, but every time I look at them, like, I would enjoy that, but I would enjoy it that many dollars worth. I don't know, because some of those are quite expensive to get those. At least the Sinden ones I know are a little pricey. I will have to ask Eddie. I don't know. I know that he just bought a pre-built cabinet from Polycade, I think is the company name, Polycade. And they came with some light guns, if I recall. It's been a minute since I talked to him about it. So I'm not entirely sure. Alright, April Fool's aside, I need to figure out how to take this resource that I just embedded in the app, and I guess probably extract it somewhere and then run it. So the path, do I still have the path? I do. I'm getting a link from the side about. So while ETA Prime is amazing, we also have a lovely content creator, RetroPython, that likes to dabble, and I believe he bought these. They look really cool. Yeah, that looks like a pretty tight setup.
Mhm.
The website's a little awkward because I can't scroll down. I hope they're better at light guns than they are websites. I can't get these videos. I guess. Oh, there we go. There's even more. How do I get? There we go. Can you imagine using light? Like, I kind of want to do like a conference now and just use a gun as a mouse. Just maybe not in today's environment. Should I bring a fake gun to a conference? But
Yeah.
okay. Well, if this price isn't scary, go chase down RetroPython and see if he has any feedback about these that he picked up. It says pre-order only, but I think he has them, so that might be just because they're bad at websites. Yeah, it is one thing that I think we as LaunchBox could do better is just have like preferred vendors for different things. Like, we know this works really well with what we got going on, and we know it's really easy to set up. Yeah, so Eddie, at least someone else on our team, RetroPython himself, went down the same rabbit hole you did and came out choosing this one as well. Every time I see these, though, I kind of want to get them because I love these games. That's where I would gravitate to in the arcade. Silly question, Stefan. Since you're just a baby, have you ever been in an arcade?
I have been in I've been in like, you know, the fakey arcades at a movie theater.
Okay.
Which aren't great. And then I was at a barcade in Chicago. Where it was like, you didn't have to buy a drink, and then you could play everything for free. But they did have like tons. I think it was it called Headquarters? They have like hundreds of arcade machines and pinball machines and stuff like that.
Okay, so you've got a little bit of the love.
Yeah. I always say I was born in the wrong time because at this point in arcade, it's just like it's a lot of gotcha machines.
Yeah.
Which is really lame.
Eddie is from around Chicago. I am as well. I'm out in the burbs. I forgot what we call our burbs, but I'm out there, a few miles from the city. Beercade. I haven't heard of that, but I don't get downtown that much.
Yeah, it was cool when I went there. I lived in Chicago for 2 years. But
I keep forgetting.
I'm from Canada. You keep forgetting.
It's like, that's right. Yeah, so I'm out in the burbs, out like Naperville, like that far out. Not Naperville itself, but out that way.
Like almost a 2-hour train ride.
And yeah, a number of years ago, me and Stefan worked at the same company, and we shipped him into Chicago. He's from Canada, and so we got his visa so he could stick around for a while. And I think eventually got homesick because Chicago is not Winnipeg.
I do like the city. It was just missed people. But I did enjoy my time there. I do like Chicago a lot. I was living in the South Loop.
I went to the city a lot more when you lived out there. That's for sure. Not because of you necessarily, but it was just part of the whole environment that was you being out there and COVID not existing yet, and
Yep.
and yeah, the train ride is the only way in. I hate driving into the city. I don't mind the city traffic itself, but the highway traffic is just absolutely bananas, boring and terrible and stressful.
It's the that train ride like out of Chicago to the suburbs and like all the different cities you pass through and stuff like that is something I miss because that's not a thing here. I would love to like have like to live in one of those like a smaller town outside of a big metropolitan that you could just take a train through. I know like BC has kind of some of that, but I assume Ontario, if Brian's still around, I assume Toronto has kind of that sort of thing, maybe. But Winnipeg and Manitoba, definitely not.
Well, yeah, MMO also from Chicago. I ended up here, so I've lived in Illinois my whole life, except when I went to college, and it was around the time that I was looking to try something new career-wise, and I had already met, and I don't know if we were married yet, but my now wife, we might have just been engaged at the time. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I narrowed it down to two choices. One was to move towards Chicago and start, of all the exciting things in the world, a consulting company and do work for nonprofit organizations as that consulting company, or go to California and find any startup who would hire me and just play the startup game. Because this was circa 2002 or 3 or 4, somewhere around there. So it was a little bit after the .com kaboom, but it was still very exciting, happening in California. And so we chose the more exciting option of boring consulting company in Illinois and startup in California, because she really didn't want to be that far away from family, and I eventually agreed that made sense. And so I've been here since, 2003 when we moved in this area. What we do for love, yeah. It turned out okay, because amusingly, that consulting company that I started, Jason of LaunchBox fame, Jason himself, was my very first employee. He came and worked for us for a number of years, and he was my very first employee. And that was really exciting because I got to tell everyone that my company has doubled in size in the last 3 months, and it got him out of a really bad job, and he's obviously brilliant, and we did a lot of great things together, and he worked with me until LaunchBox became a viable financial support for him. And as it comes full circle, some 11 years later, I was looking for a break from the consulting world, and Jason was looking to delegate a few things a little bit more aggressively at the time, and so we made some arrangements, and so now I get to sit here, largely serving as Jason's successor in many ways, which is it's a very different business than what I'm used to. The consulting company it's all business to business, and conferences and sales conversations and not wearing like suit and tie, but visiting people and just being hired based on just pure competence and the ability to make people feel good about what they're doing. Whereas LaunchBox is a consumer-based group, and instead of dealing with 20 different businesses, we deal with a million different people. And some things are very similar, and some things are a lot harder, and some things are a lot easier. But it was the change of pace I was looking for. And Scarmy here comes from that same consulting company, and I think he was in a similar boat of wanting to look for a change of pace, and LaunchBox needed web help, and so had I not taken the boring little Illinois route, then I wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be here, Stefan, and Jason may not have ever done LaunchBox. Who knows? Maybe I'm directly responsible for all of this somehow, because I chose. Maybe my wife is directly responsible for all of this because we didn't want to go to California.
Someone deflate his ego, please.
It's the only thing that keeps me going. it's my biofuel. I've written 3 lines of code in 10 minutes. I'm doing a good job here.
Yeah, I've been like playing around with some styling, and like I could probably do this better, but
I remember when Jason was starting LaunchBox, because again I ran, and it was a successful, like it was paying the bills and we were doing okay, consulting company, and Jason's like, I've been working on the side on this little DOSBox wrapper thing, and I started selling it, and people are buying it. I think I want to try to go in full time. And I'm like, well, let me know what I can do to help you out. I don't want to see you go, but I can't tell you no. And I remember at the time thinking, there is absolutely no way in the world that that's gonna continue. Because there's no way that you're gonna be able to sell a little DOSBox wrapper enough to live off of. And here we are. So I was wrong. You're right, MMO. A world without LaunchBox. However would we load up our WordPerfect 5.1 documents without it? We'd be at a loss. Because the Windows search stinks now. I can't just search for that anymore. Yeah, you're right, Eddie. 20, like, it ranged from like, and it wasn't people directly, but it was businesses, and we'd work with 1 or 2 people from those groups. So in a given year, I would talk to 30, 40 different businesses and end up working with 20 to 30 of them, and talking to 1 or 2 people at each of those. So my entire business life was the people that I employed and the 50 random people from companies. And then day 1 at LaunchBox, I think we get 50 emails a day from customers needing some kind of support. And of course the forums and the Discord has that many people in a given day as well. So just the scale of how many humans are in this world is a little mind-boggling for me, to be honest. Alright, so according to the internet, I need to take this exe that's in my application and put it in a temp folder and then run it from there, which makes a lot of sense. Windows probably doesn't like to run things from nowhere. Something like this. Oh, because it might be null. Yeah, lots of safety code needs to go into this after I get it working. So now I have it in a file. Do I know the file name? I do not know the file name. I need to pull this out. Not a field. Do you still use ReSharper, Stefan?
Not. I think I have it installed, but
Well, I guess you're in Visual Studio Code more these days.
yeah. I mean, I will use it occasionally for, I'll make a for loop and then ReSharper's like, hey, you could just make this link. I was like, okay. And then I think I still have like that style cop installed as well.
I don't think StyleCop has maintained. I think it's a dead project.
Yeah, there's like, wasn't ReSharper's version of it a bit more maintained or something? I don't remember.
Never understood this use shell execute flag. Gets or sets a value indicating whether operating system shell to start the process. That seems like the right thing to do. The default is true anymore, so. How else do you start it if you don't ask Windows to start it? I don't understand. Oh,
Yes.
I gotta lean into some async await code. I guess as a JavaScripty and a .NET-y, do you like async await or promise as a better?
I think I like async await. It's just easy to forget.
Yes, it is.
But it is much cleaner.
Do we need to handle someone like canceling like mid install? I don't think that seems a reasonable expectation. Most installers are, once you click next, you're doing it.
Yeah, and the ones that do cancel, it takes forever because it's probably undoing stuff.
Yeah.
So
And we're not really doing a whole lot.
yeah, like by the time in anything that I've had to cancel midway as an installation, the cancel takes so long that I just end the process anyway.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, we got a question. Rex in the chat. Let me make this bigger. You have a question. You've been using LV since forever, but since 13.20, you cannot launch it from the network anymore. And hello, Rex. I have invalid URI. The host name could not be parsed. I feel like I've seen that before. So I know that situation is one that still works usually. But I'm not entirely... I know that we've seen that error. I'm going to take a look at some notes I have over here. And if you're in the chat and you happen to know the answer to that, that would be super appreciated. Otherwise, I will take a look. Because there's a couple of like known errors that people get that are easily worked around. Sometimes it's because we changed the underlying runtime, some plugins had some challenges. But I can't remember if this hostname error is related to that particular thing or if there's another thing. So I see the error in our log. Invalid URI. The hosting cannot be parsed. Windows Media Player State Open Media URI source. I would be curious. That is an interesting question. So you have the whole LaunchBox on the NAS or somewhere else, and you're trying to, and so it's trying to load a video from that NAS resource, and it's getting confused with the UNC path or something like that, perhaps. That I might actually have a copy of LaunchBox on my network. The complete LV is on the NAS with an SMB mount. Okay. Well, let me see if I can. I don't know where my NAS copy is at. It's been a minute since I touched this one. But I know we were doing some testing, or I was doing some testing with that because I was trying to make things. I was trying to test the scenario, so I put the whole my copy of LaunchBox on my. So same setup as yours, except I'm using a NAS drive instead of. I was still using SMB, so I think it's the exact same. Let me try this. I'm gonna try it on my other monitor just in case I get every error known to man and I don't get the old pop-ups from the 90s going here. Oh, fancy pants Synology, mister. Very posh, the Synology. I think I had my original NAS was Synology. My latest one I got about a year ago. I went with a true NAS system. And I know on our team, the unraid NAS server is pretty popular as well. You married that brand, or you married into that brand, or you're married to that brand, and you just can't choose anything else. It's a good thing. I've been following Synology since before they were cool, like when they were just starting up, and they had a couple of things that they were trying to get out there. I think they were competing against, what was it, Drovo or some other thing at the time.
Yeah.
And so they really did change things because they brought a more open platform that I think is the basis for most of the other ones to succeed. It does not look like my NAS copy of LaunchBox is working very well. Like at all. But I know I've seen that error, Rex. If you'd be cool with it, I'd love for you to go to our website and just send an error. Oh, and my computer's chunking on something. What if I give me my mouse back? Because I think we have a thought that might help, but I can't remember and I gotta look it up. So if you go to feedback.launchbox.gg or just click on the get help button on all of our websites and in the app itself, I think you'll end up here. If you would create a bug report and give us what you got in that error message, that might be super helpful to see. No trouble, Rex. I would have never guessed that English was not good for you. You write as well as I do. And I only know English. So you're doing all right. Yeah, I appreciate it, Rex. And for anyone else listening in, this is how you get help. If you're having any sort of whatchamacallit, any sort of issues or anything in this bug report section, please go here. If you have any ideas for how to improve it, obviously lean in here. I think, Eddie, you had an idea above. I did take a note of it, but if you want to just get some votes behind it, we do use this voting feature to kind of pick what we might put on the roadmap. And this is the one we're kind of working on right now, which is this big box freezing issue with getting rid of VLC, but there's been a number of good ideas posted. And Rex, I'll get back to you, or somebody on the team will. I think I've seen that before. Yep, I'm pretty sure it is a known issue. I just can't think of what we need to do off the top of my head. And so we'll be able to get back to you in that forum without losing anything. Alright, I'm going to test this. Not that. Just going to put it up here. So actually, there is, if you have a GamesDB account, there is a single sign-on. So if you don't have a GamesDB account, you're right, that will have to create an account. I lost my browser here. But that GamesDB account, there's a good chance you have one. If you've hooked it up to your LaunchBox, mine's already logged in, so very poor representation of demonstrating that. But it's using the same login that you would have behind the GamesDB here, which confusingly is unrelated to the licensing process. But if you have an account here, which you would have needed for tracking of like high scores or playtime and that sort of thing, then it uses the same one. Otherwise, I think we kept a pretty straightforward registration process. But yeah, when you get a chance, feel free to do that. I will make a note and take a look at that, and hopefully we get to connect with a solution in a bit. What is this doing? Oh, damn, I did it again. I don't know why this isn't working. How's your stuff? Well, so I'm trying to read this. So I opened the embedded stream, and then I created a temp file, and I'm just telling it to like copy the embedded thing over to the stream, but it just never finishes from this call. And so I was going to just see if I could. I don't know what I was going to try to do. Just read anything from it. What are the methods? Help me out here. Something silly, I'm sure. How about you?
Just trying to hook up the data to the init call.
Okay, well, there's a good chance I broke something, so let me know.
Oh, I see the message coming through. I just need to just try to find it now. For some reason, it doesn't like. Oh. Cat.
Well, that works just fine. No, it doesn't. Because it's possible that's not the correct name, but I would expect it to fail. Let's just prove that. Yeah. Something about writing to this temp file, it looks like. I wonder if it's because the file already exists. Because this get temp file name thing is weird in that it creates a 0 file. So maybe I have to open it instead of create. Open or create, look at that, there's a choice for that.
Does it think it's still open or something? Closed?
Well, just the stupid thing is I'm not getting like an error. It just stalls. Let's try that. Alright, let's just put the file somewhere else. Maybe it's something to that folder? Oh no, this one actually wrote though. Oh, some of them are writing. Why is it not finishing? Huh. That doesn't make any sense. Mhm. Maybe I'm just being impatient. Or some misunderstanding of how async await is supposed to work. Which seems likely as well, because that's never really made sense. Guess I could just try it without waiting for now and hey Rex, I see you made it. I saw the issue pop up. Thank you for that. Okay, so some async thing. Getting rid of the awaits just works. Oh, I wonder if we're not running on like the right thread. It's trying to join back. I think this is why promises might be the slightly better choice, because it doesn't have any of this confusion. Alright, if I change that back to await and I do this, which seems to fix some issues sometimes, then well, you did it, Rex. We got it. I saw it pop up. So I think if I go back here, oh, now I have to log in with my special account, so we won't even see it because all the bug reports are sort of hidden by default. But I did see it pop up, so appreciate that. I'll get back to you as soon as I'm able to double check what I remember seeing somewhere. Alright, does this fix it? It does. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's a UI thread marshalling issue, Stefan, just in case you were keeping notes.
Oh.
Because I'm just doing a quick test and I'm just running this thing just without any attempt to make it asynchronous or background. I just wanted it to use the async await thing. It was running technically on the UI thread, and when you do an async, and an await, it ultimately tries to rejoin the thread that started it. That's what await does by default, so that you can maintain context between what it does and stuff afterwards and all that magic. But this little magic configure await thing, as part of an async call, tells it, please do all of the await logic, but you don't have to rejoin the same thread. Like, you can just keep running this from anywhere. And so this was effectively deadlocked on the UI thread because we let the UI thread continue to happen behind the scenes. And since you don't do a lot of UI code in your life, it's probably all kind of a little foreign to you, but I don't think you have to worry about like UI threads or anything in JavaScript at all. Everything's UI thread. You can update the DOM from anywhere, I think, right?
I think so. Yeah, I don't have to I don't typically need to worry about threading all that much. There's a lot of async await stuff I do as well, but most of the time I'm just loading data in, and Vue kind of just seems to handle it for me when I
Sure.
change it. Vue's smart. Okay, I got the install location and K-Lite things bound up. Double check if this is actually.
I am Joe. I think it'll still work if I give it a verb. But you're right, I probably should fix the file extension. But I think I'm not cleaning up my... So now it finishes. That is weird, because I checked this moments ago and it was still... I think there's also a timing issue with the file cleaning itself up. But you're right. I guess the cleaner approach is to create a folder and then put the full exe just as named in there. Wow, we'll test your theory, Joe. Yeah, the process could not. But it is not, because it's still closing. For some reason, it's not closing it. And I think maybe it's this lazy little method that I have here for cleaning up the using statement. I don't think is running. I don't know how to control when that's supposed to happen. Probably put it in a method because you're supposed to write clean code, Josh. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, right. I have an appointment at 4, so I probably need to take off.
Okay, well, I could probably wrap up a few things here, but if you need to head off, by all means, we'll be left with the faceless Josh and for a few minutes at least. I probably got to get heading to as well.
I mean, if you you can share my screen, I can just show off what I've done a little bit, I guess.
Hey, so I did get my installer loaded.
Nice.
So that's promising. All right, I will switch screens.
So I'll push my changes before. But yeah, so when it loads, it's bringing in the data I'm getting back from the .NET side, the K-Lite and the path. And then when I start, it goes to the next. I need to figure out why there's a little scroll thing, but I will figure that out. I haven't done a whole lot here. When you hit install, and I have a little progress, fake progress right now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Simple, but
simple to the point.
Hooked up and working. Yeah.
Very cool. And so and I missed it because I wasn't looking at the stream. the file path and all that stuff was able to be pulled in from the app and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So the handle message,
Awesome.
that, and brings that in.
Well, that is exciting. That's a weird path, but I can do better than that. Just roaming. Oh, I forgot to attach the LaunchBox to it, and roaming is probably a terrible choice for LaunchBox. Jesus. Oh my gosh. I will make some IT person very unhappy if we install that to roaming. Here, have a 72 terabyte install of LaunchBox, and can you sync it over on logon? Oh, that's funny to me. All right, well, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, no worries.
And yeah, so I'm hoping for and I think I'll just wrap it all up because I could get to some things as well. The goal is to get this installer in a position that either it takes over the whole install for 13.21, or it focuses just on a little bit of it, a la this K-Lite piece, because we need that. So we'll see how far we make it, but I think we'll be able to get, we'll definitely get one or two of those things. And it will look amazing. So we'll take this aesthetic and keep improving on that. Maybe add some animation and video and fun stuff along for the ride. Awesome. That's exciting. All right, well, thanks, Stefan. Thanks to everyone joining in. I think I'm going to wrap it up here at the 3:33 for me. And we'll see you all next week. Stay tuned, because on Thursday, Farron on our team will talk about the updates, and he might dive into some other work, maybe talk about the releases a little bit more, just a less technical version of the update with a little less coding. And if there's coding, it'll be theme stuff related. So that's always exciting. So please stay tuned for that on Thursday. Otherwise, everyone have a really great rest of your day, and happy gaming.
Have a good one. Have a fun April Fool's.
Oh yes, April Fools. All right, thanks all.